Well, that theme song can only mean one thing, everybody, and that is you are in yet another Ball Publishing webinar. And this one is going to be, well, unique is one word for it. Nuts would be another word for it. I'm going to go out on a limb today, and I'm going to try the video function that comes with the WebEx software that I use to do these webinars. I have not tried it yet because I'm concerned about bandwidth and connection and modems, and I don't want you to not be able to see what's going on. But I tell you, with today's special guest in the studio, I thought, what the heck? Let's give it a try. So I am now going to click a button, and I'm going to introduce my special guest, Dr. Allan Armitage.
Well,
welcome
Chris,
to the Ball Publishing Studios, my friend.
Thank you. It's quite amazing to be here. I'm watching this man work, and it's scary. So if anything blows up, just blame it entirely on him. It's hard to be perfect, but we're trying.
We're going to see what goes on here. So, well, first, I should do I need to introduce Allan Armitage, everybody? He needs no introduction, so all I'm going to say is he's probably one of the most enthusiastic plantsmen and industry supporters that I know. He's a professor emeritus from the University of Georgia in Athens, which means he's kind of a figurehead now. But you haven't slowed down.
Yeah, it means that they let me in every now and then, and it means that some of the students still want to say hello, but I can't get out of horticulture.
Well,
that's
we don't want you to yet, but we'll tell you when it's time. And you're up here at the Ball headquarters here in West Chicago, Illinois. You came up for the Darwin Perennial Day, which was yesterday. How'd you like that?
It was great. It was great. I think that these open houses, these days where people come in, it's fantastic. Everybody gets excited again. And we see great new plants, and the Darwin breeding is excellent. I mean, there's fabulous breeding all around the country, all around the world.
500 people plus here yesterday, so it was a big crowd. Still some folks here doing meetings and stuff like that. But let me go through a couple of housekeeping things right now. And the nice thing is, Allan, I'm not seeing anyone down here typing in, I can't hear you or I can't see you, which is always what freaks me out. So we're in good shape so far. Let's see if it continues. Now, if you can't hear me, this is what you need to do. You need to read this. You're probably reading my lips right now, but that's for those people who can't hear me yet. I don't think I have anybody like that. Otherwise, they would have said something.
Listen, Chris, if they can't hear us, this may be a good thing.
You're right. Count your lucky stars.
Right,
Count your
right.
blessings.
I mean, come on.
All right. Oops, there we go. So now another thing, and now if you can't see us or you lose the video, something happens. Don't worry, because we're still going to be doing a PowerPoint like we always do. And Alan's got plenty of slides. That's why I can't waste any time here on this chatting business. Also, you can adjust the size of the video screen by using the center bar between the video screen on one side of your screen and the PowerPoint screen. Just move it left or right. Watch, Alan. I'm going to do it on ours, and I can make us bigger.
Whoa, this is exciting.
Yeah, or I can make, probably what's better, make us smaller. That's a little better. All right, so now, and we've got to thank our sponsor, Ball Seed Company,
of course.
who puts the free webinar. Thank you very much for that, Ball. If you have questions as we go along, and what we're going to probably do, because this is going to be fast-paced. Alan, you've got a lot on your mind, and you want to get it off your chest.
Apparently.
Which is a weird way to talk about it, but that's what's going to happen. So we're going to take your questions at the end of the webinar. So stay tuned. And stay tuned, because there is some fun stuff, some extra special news at the very end that I'm sure Alan is proud to share with everybody. So that said, and again, if you get kicked off the webinar or have to go take care of customers or something, fear not. It will be archived at ballpublishing.com/webinar. Same place you signed up, conveniently enough.
So they'll never get rid of us.
This will live on in perpetuity. The recorder is running. Let me double check that it is being recorded. Yes, it's being recorded. All right. Here we go. So, and again, I want to say that this is not going to be like a typical new varieties or perennial plant talk. There's some in there. You got a lot to say about the industry. This is Alan's thoughts, observations, and opinions on ornamental horticulture. And let's just dive right in with your first topic. Let's talk a little about growing. What do you have to talk about?
Okay, from my housekeeping point of view, first of all, in case any of you are not sure who's in front of you, I am here. Now, that's me.
Is that the Tilly hat?
That is a Tilly hat, and that thing is out there. People
we
ask
got them
me
to sponsor it.
Yeah, there we go. But anyway, today, really, it's horticulture through one man's eyes, and they may not be your eyes. You may disagree with everything I say. And the fact is that at the end, we're going to talk about some great plants. We're going to talk about a few things, but, when we do growing, I can talk to 100 growers, and they do it 100 different ways. Whether it's perennials or annuals or herbs or vegetables, it really doesn't much matter. There are a few right ways and wrong ways, but there are my ways. And so...
The other way's the highway?
The other way? No, I mean, you can do lots of things wrong, but by now, in 2017, it's not like our growers have not understood that, there are more efficient ways of doing things. And to that effect, thanks to many of the breeders, because the breeders are putting out plants for the growers that take time off the bench, that are more compact, that do all those things that allow growers to get a good product very quickly. So I'm really not going to talk about growth regulators and CO2 and all that nonsense. There's a ton of ways to do it. You find your way, and you will do just fine. So I think that...
there.
Yeah. And I think that I will show you something here.
All right.
But yeah, there we go. So, but our greatest strengths and certainly our most problematic issues, we're so diverse. We have people doing every single plant known to man. We have new plants we don't know anything about. There's no cookie cutter technology. You're going to find your way and do it right. And I think the fact that we have to do that is really not easy every day to do the same job we did last year, because we know that Murphy is in the room and Murphy's Law will do something. But there is no wrong way. But the way that you will do it will be better than it did last year.
That's true. You've seen it for years. Every grower has their own way of doing things, and that's fine. That's what makes our industry interesting.
And one doesn't have to have the highest technology. It sure does help. But, keep a clean place. As we know, cleanliness is next to godliness in the greenhouse, maybe ahead. But you'll do just fine. Anyway, there's a bunch of other things. We know that our success is determined by these things. And we know that bad weather, golly, around here it's been raining all May has been cruddy, and June is a little bit better, but May that's the way it is. We are nothing but glorified farmers, and farmers have been doing this forever, trying to figure out what to do with the weather. We get ulcers without a doubt, but we are incredibly creative. Now I say this based on my running around the country, my running around the world. It is unbelievable, Chris, how creative growers, retailers, and everybody is in this business, and I think it's just fabulous. Mm-hmm. So, let's do this thing and grow plants well. But what about this plant breeding? If I hear it once,
remember, Alan, you're sitting in the office of several breeding companies right outside that doorway. So
if I hear it once, I hear it 100 times. Why do we need another new plant? Okay, well, let's talk about that. Is there ever enough? So many of you go to the California Spring Trials, and those of you who don't, I hope you do get a chance. It really is terrific. And we see all these new things. I mean, we see things like this cool new sunflower, this really fabulous eucharella. I mean, these are plants that you're gonna have them in your greenhouse, in your garden center, or in your garden very soon. They're marvelous things. They're the hellebores. I can talk about more later. The fabulous new hellebores. Look at petunia. Are there too many petunias? Well, probably, but boy, I'll take that one in a heartbeat. There's a ton of beautiful plants out there. Tan-can bumblebee, boy, it's spectacular. But the most amazing thing, when you go to, whether it's Cash or you visit people like the Darwin people or whoever, is the creativity. These new plants, this is at Haute Couture, and they know how to do marketing, and they know how to.
Yeah, they made this beautiful.
It was unbelievable.
16-seat table of place settings featuring their plants.
Any people would sit around it, and everybody would have a grand time. So my point is, there is a lot of great new plants. Do we need more? Well, even people like ourselves who are listening, and Chris and myself, and we can't keep up. I try to keep up. I'm working on the 4th edition of my big perennial book. It's impossible. So we cannot expect end users like landscapers, designers, or certainly homeowners to figure out what's new and how to stay up with them. The fact is that we may have enough plants. That's a trial garden at the University of Georgia a few years ago. Tons of people go through there, look at every new plant. And the question is, do we have enough? Well, the fact is we will always have more. Breeders will never stop breeding. I don't care if they were not even employed. They would not stop breeding. It's in their DNA. And so we're always going to find new plants. We have all these cool things. I said many years ago, and I say it today, new plants are the lifeblood of our industry. But let's not get too carried away with the new thing. And I will explain a little bit more of that as I continue.
I may have to
No, please do. Please do.
Keep going.
Please do. This is me talking about what I see.
Yeah.
There's nothing, well, maybe it is totally wrong, and there's nothing right about it. It's how I see it. So just bear with me a little bit. We have this spectacular and really interesting breeding, and some it's rather off the wall. Echinacea and digiplexuses and things, but they're cool. They're fun. We talk about them. But when all these things are there, my question to you is, who chooses what plants get out there? Where will these plants be seen, and how long will it take for my daughter to see them? The landscaper, the retailer, the consumer. When do we see these new plants? The landscapers and retailers, they can rely on meetings. They can rely on hanging out with the 500 people at Darwin Plant Day and talk about this stuff. The growers, for sure, we network with colleagues, and we can look at trade magazines and meetings, but the consumer, now, I don't want to get carried away. This is an industry talk. I'm not going to talk about my gardener next door, but the fact is, somewhere down the road, somebody has to buy this stuff. The consumer, my daughters, your neighbors. Now, Chris, I was at your house. Chris, that's a great place. We sat in his garden, and we had, lots of wine and great food. Thank you. But his neighbors, they don't necessarily think the same way Chris does.
Two plants in the whole landscape.
How are we going to get our neighbors to look at us and say we're not as crazy as we appear? But the neighbors are at the complete mercy of the retailer. They really are, because my daughter is going to go to a retail place, and hopefully she's going to find something that is not only pretty, but does what she wants it to do and are properly labeled. There we go. So
you're working. There we go.
Let me illustrate this with a poker table.
Are you a gambler?
I am, but not on plants. Actually, I gamble whether the plant is going to come up next year.
We're all gamblers. Yeah. We're all gamblers.
Let's think, who holds the cards? When I say who holds the cards, who is the one that really makes the decision of what my daughter is going to see? Is it the gardener, the poker, the garden center, the landscaper, the plant breeder, the box store, or the grower? And you may have your own opinion on this. But to me, the question is, what plants are sold at retail? And here's where we can have a grand discussion. Happy to do it with anybody. Is it the gardener? Who folds first? The gardener. Who holds the most cards? In my opinion, the box store. Because it's a numbers game. The breeders will breed whatever they're breeding. And then if you can sell a ton of these things at a box store versus a few of them at the independent garden center, those are the plants you're going to see going out there quicker. I may be incorrect on this. I don't mean to say that the greatest plants are at the box store and the worst plants are somewhere else. But I'll tell you who has the least influence in what appears is the gardener.
Yeah, that's changing a little bit, though.
Okay.
Thanks to some of those big box growers who I know who are doing online surveys of customers. You may know some of these things going on, where they're actually asking the consumer, if you could see this in the store or that in the store, which would you prefer?
This is true, but they're still saying, if you would say A or B, what do you prefer? Well, the gardener has no idea what our A or B is going to be.
Because of the paradox of choice, if you put everything from spring trials out there and said, which do you want, they'd leave.
Can't do it. I agree.
So somebody has to edit down the list.
What a wonderful comment. This thing is doing weird things.
Right, let me click here. There we go.
So just let me continue here. Now, Chris, I'm not disagreeing with you, and all your people are yelling at me. That's fine. Particular, whatever. So it appears that consumers hold the fewest cards. And if the answer is, of course, they are. They're very important. They're still the most important. Not just because they demand a particular cultivar, and growers don't demand any cultivars, but because she does not have a positive shopping experience, we got to make things simple. Or she has bad experiences with the garden, the plant dies in 3 weeks, lack of success, she simply spends her money elsewhere. The movies. She'll spend it on chocolates, and we'll get fat at the movies. It's fine. But we as industry have to understand, and I think we do, that we have to simplify and we have to have things that are going to be successful. Yeah. So even if my daughter doesn't know a cultivar of echinacea from a cultivar of begonia, even if she doesn't know that, when she goes into that place where she buys, she's going to pick up something that's going to work.
So much of the success of our industry hinges upon that connection, the person who is talking to the consumer. At your garden center owner, your staff is the most important link to our industry to the consumer, and they can make or break that individual's career as a gardener.
And we all complain, and we love the complaint, mind you. We're all too busy. We're all too busy. And spring comes, and oh my God, how do I make that work? But that's what we have to do. We have to figure it out. And I know on this webinar there are people who are they're growers, and there's city planners and a whole bit. Wherever category you fit in, the comments I'm making are going to talk to you one way or the other. But anyway, let's talk about. I keep blaming my daughter for all this, and she really is quite a brilliant girl. But let's talk about your neighbors. Have we really made our products so complicated that our neighbors need 5 books like this? Each one of those, by the way, averages 340 pages. What self-respecting dummy is going to buy a 340 page?
You've been a horticulturist for how long? This is not. Growing plants successfully isn't easy by nature. So how are we going to suddenly make? I think something like this is a good service.
Totally wrong. Oh, it's a good service. It makes money for the people. It's a good service. But that's why is it so hard? And I don't mean to say that in a silly way, but
I know where you're
there's bad soils, there's bad this, there's bad that. But gardening, by the end of the day, has to have more positives than negatives. Okay, but gardening is work. And if we try and it's work. We work in the garden. But those who garden and those who landscape like to do that. They don't want to pull weeds and all that stuff all day. But the fact is, they garden not because it's a pretty petunia, but because of the joy that petunia brings them. Now, I don't have a problem with these books. I wish I wrote one and made some money. But the fact is, a reference for the rest of us. If the rest of us are out there, who are we? And that's just what I see. I'm not, go buy 10 of these books. That's great. But
there we go.
So I think we have to start making things so complicated. Now, I'm talking to the breeders out there. You got 50 euchres. Good for you. Fabulous. Okay, I'm talking to the broker. You're going to be selling 100 euchres. Good for you. But somebody has to filter this stuff out, as you just mentioned. And the filtering has to, unfortunately, or fortunately, come at the place where people are buying plants, whether it's online or whether it's in a store. Because I call it the toothpaste dilemma. We have all of these, and sometimes we feel like we got 50 euchres. Let's do them all. Well, people just, as you said, will go away.
I use Crest. My wife uses Colgate. I don't want my retailer to drop either one of those.
No.
And I know you were sad when they dropped Gleam from the marketplace, your favorite for years.
The dilemma is not that they're...
So who's going to decide, I'm going to drop that, and then you've got dissatisfied customers.
Okay, we're talking... Okay, wait. Okay, so let me just continue. So there's two... Maybe there's not enough toothpaste, what do I know? But there's a lot of toothpaste from which you make a choice. I mean, good grief. Come on. But nevertheless, that's the way the market is.
Now he's trying to take away your toilet paper, your favorite brand. Mine is the Angel Sauce.
Yeah, there you go.
Full disclosure.
I want the Russian brand. But nevertheless, the thing is, there's lots of choices, and sometimes for the consumer, too many. Now.
So what's the takeaway?
Okay, my takeaway is that somebody has to filter. The breeder, the grower, the broker can carry 100 of these. Somebody has to filter. And who does that? Any garden center or wholesaler can easily, now, okay, I'm going down to 5 here, but it could be 10, it could be 30, can easily market their 5 best euchres or their 5 best petunias at the local level. Okay, and I say, well, it's a simple poster. You say, oh my gosh, I can't make a poster. Well, you make posters in grade 2, of course you can. So posters that say Ken's best plants for the area based on our staff's gardening experience. What I'm trying to say is at the retail level, if you people are at your place because they trust you, and if they trust you and you say, I'm going to sell you these 5 greatest euchres instead of 30, and I use euchres, echinaceas, astilbes, doesn't matter, then I think people are going to respond to that. I really do.
And we just had somebody ask a question. Am I supposed to be seeing slides at this point? I hope everybody is seeing slides. I've only seen one person, so I think it may be a setting up at the top of the screen. If you only are seeing video right now, I think if you click around, you'll figure out how to minimize the video smaller and have the slides pop up. So just a quick little public service announcement there.
I understand it's our high-tech society here.
We're out on a limb with it.
But anyway, again, if you're not seeing anything, you're just going to have to listen to me babble.
Right.
So again, the whole filtering thing.
I love this idea.
Bookstores do this. If you go to any bookstore, it's just staff favorites.
Wine stores do that?
Wine stores. It's
not that
right.
I
do it. So why aren't we doing more of this? I know there are people doing this. This is an image I pulled off the internet. There are people in the garden centers that do this, but make it so that you come in and I know that John's Garden Center, this is their staff favorites because of their experience.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you have to eliminate all the others, but you pull out a selection that helps people. And I've seen people do that with tomatoes. Yeah. This was our favorite tomato last year.
And maybe today is one thing and tomorrow something else, but people are coming to, whether it's a box store or whether it's John's Garden Center, they're coming because they trust you. Much more so the independent garden center, I may add, than the box store, but they're coming because they trust you. Mm-hmm. And what they trust is that you actually know something. You know, so you have some experiences, and I take away that begonia, or I take away that petunia, or that campanula. Mm-hmm. It has a chance for success.
And that's why it's up to the independent retailer, all retailers, to know what's new and vet it for their customers and say, of all the new stuff, these 2 or 3 are worth bringing in.
The dilemma has always, continues to be, and it's, you know, I can say it's a good thing. The dilemma of the independent garden center and the box store, you know, what does one offer that the other doesn't? And hopefully one offers a whole lot more experiences, a whole lot more knowledge, and fabulous plants to boot. So we'll see.
All right.
Okay, we good? Anyway.
You got a beef with labels?
No, I have no beef. Well, I've had a lot bigger beef with labels at one time, but this is what, you know, when you walk into a Lowe's, Home Depot, or Johnny's Garden Center, there's always somebody looking at a label, but, you know,
a label is an art form, you have to admit.
I wish it was an art form. I think so. If you can't read them comfortably from here, if you can't read them comfortably, well, with my glasses, I mean, maybe I can read them from here now, but if you can't read them comfortably, they're useless. They are. There's way too many, and I apologize to whoever made that label. It's a fabulous label. It's a carry-out. You know, it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah. But, I mean, it says nothing. It says absolutely nothing. But it's a petunia, so we at least got that far. But, you know, I think this is changing. I really do. They've had vast improvements on labels, and I think that's mainly to do with branding, quite truthfully. And we can go into a branding discussion someday.
You've got the companies doing the eye tracking technology to find out what tracks consumer eye, what do they read first, second, third, et cetera. So there's a lot of
but there's a lot of cool stuff going on, but the fact is somebody's walking in there and looking at this thing. And, you know, they've got to be able to read something. And then this is kind of a cool one. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what it says, but it's neat. It attracts my eye. Mm-hmm. So, and again, I give this whole branding thing a lot of credit because when your name is on there, you got a little bit more at stake. Anyway.
Sounds good
cool.
there.
So I'm going to slow down a wee bit. I sometimes talk too quickly, but the fact is that we used to be, and I say used to be, back in my old age, or my young age, I suppose, we were plant people. We were just a bunch of farmers growing plants, and it's spring, so people are going to buy them. That's changed dramatically. If anything, if we've done a 180-degree turn on anything in this industry over the last 25 years, it's marketing. We are no different now than the automobile companies, the pharmaceutical companies. We just don't have any money like they do, but the fact is we market. Now, we market way too much. Well, we market as best we can. And some companies, like I think this is John Henry Company in here and down here at the left-hand side of your screen. I just thought it was a cool thing. Kickin' Aster is just a cool name, you know. And so it's a marketing way of in the slides on the right and how to use things for bumblebees or whatever else. So we really are doing a much better job.
Sorry.
And we really do a good job talking to each other.
Well, look, Growertalks.
Yeah, there's Growertalks.
And
There's
there's other
another
guys.
thing, Greenhouse Grower, the other guys, GPN. But isn't that a cool thing about our industry? Honestly, Chris, and as much as I love being here with you, all of these magazines, and there's Cut Flower Quarterly, which is one of my favorites, they serve a purpose. And if they didn't, they wouldn't still be here. So, I mean, boy, we are good at helping each other out.
Well, we said that last night, sitting around on my dock area, drinking wine and eating cheese and crackers and solving the industry's problems, as we have all done so many times. And we all wind up saying, but gosh, if we could just, get this out of here, out to the end consumer, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. We share ideas, we share plant successes and failures. We go to meetings. This is a good thing. It really is. But marketing our plants to end users, now, I'm not just talking about my daughter, it could be the landscaper, it could even be to the retailer, and certainly to the consumer. It's hard. It's really, really hard, and it costs a lot of money. But we are making an effort, and I'm excited about this. We're making an effort. Here's just a few things that I think I look at PW's Garden Idea Book. I think if you go through that, it's fabulous. The wave that the Ball does with the wave ball horticulture, they got videos, they got everything. It's amazing what's out there. That, again, and I say this in all due respect, more than likely my neighbor or my daughter really won't get on those, but they're there if they wish to. This delirious plants from one of the great Perennial Farm, one of the great growers, is they developed this so they could have a bench on the garden center for plants that deer don't eat. The burpee, what they're doing with their vegetables. I'm such a burpee fan, it's actually embarrassing. But it's terrific what they're doing. So we are doing a much, much better job at reaching the consumer, whoever they are. It takes a tremendous amount of effort and, as you know, creativity, which sometimes I don't have very much of, money, and patience, which you can tell I'm very patient first. But it is, and that's why we can't get upset when we see a label that says red petunia. We can do better, but we are doing better.
So if you were king of the industry, not that you don't think you are, what would you do? What would you change?
I would just keep doing what we're doing. I'd keep working at making, whether it's a label or whether it's a website. We're making gains. We're making gains.
Certainly,
but it costs a lot of money. We're never, as an industry, going to do a national marketing program. We're just not going to do it. I mean, I wish we would, but we're not.
I'm a firm believer in grassroots. Yeah. If you want more marketing, you got to do it yourself.
Then let's get Johnny's Garden Center saying, this is Johnny's, these are my 5, 10, 15 greatest plants for Pointe-au-Pic, where I live. I don't say trust me, but you can.
And that'll do more for Johnny than any national marketing or what.
Okay. So anyway, and then for better or for worse, as you know, our plants are constantly being examined online, and for better or for worse, I say, you want to see what your plant looks like, go to the worst plants in the world. Somebody's got a beef with you. Invasive plants, 100 gardening blogs, we have little control, but they're out there. So, we sometimes can actually glom onto them and say, hey, this is a great plant, why don't you put it on your blog? But the fact is they're out there. And the fact is that while we have little control of these contents, we have fabulous allied organizations. And here's just 3 of them. But there's a bunch. And it is up to us. So you ask me what I would do. I would get behind people like this. I would make sure that ASAHS and the garden writers know that I'm around. And grassroots, I can do it right from Johnny's Garden Center.
And there's a lot of promotional tools available. AAS, I don't see enough AAS signs out in the garden center. Right. That would give a consumer confidence to pick that.
And listen, you guys, for goodness sake, support these people. I don't even mean give a ton of money, but just let them know you exist. Yeah, because they love that. And look at this. Look at these trade organizations that we do. Yeah, there's no excuse. I mean, none. Not to at least support them. And if they need a speaker or they need you to just do something, get off your butt instead of saying, geez, we don't have enough people helping us. These are all helping you. So anyway, there's American Horde again, Perennial Plant Association. We all know what they do. The Perennial Plant of the Year. It's made a lot of money for a bunch of us. Especially cut flower growers. If you're a cut flower grower, that's your place to go. Here's GGIA, the Georgia Green Industry Association. That's a whole southern thing. And look at all the people just involved with that one group. So I know you are. I don't, and I'm berating you. You're probably the greatest thing in the whole world, but some of us kind of sit around. And the same thing is true with state, provincial organizations.
Invaluable.
Invaluable, absolutely invaluable. And you can't do everything for everybody, but you do some things for somebody. And this is the reason I get onto this bandwagon about support Chicago Horticultural Society or whoever it is. You just have to go to Darwin Plant Day, okay? And there are people from 20 different countries here, all over the country itself. And you go to California Spring Trials, there are 30 different countries there too. Horticulture is global, but sales are local. And I know we know that. We just got to keep reminding ourselves. So when we have this wonderful national push for perennial plant of the year, it may not be the greatest thing for everybody. They try to do as much as they can.
And I see when I do my weekly weekend survey, I'll get 10 responses from a state, and most everybody will be kind of consistent. Hey, it was great. 8s, 9s, 7s, and then you get one guy or woman who pops in with a 4 because something about their business wasn't so great. And was it them or was it everybody else?
We'll never agree on anything. But the fact is that we are truly a global industry. My goodness, but sales always will be local. And that's back to your grassroots things. So, Chris, let's
trends. I don't think of you as a trend tracker. I'll be curious what kind of trends you've been following that are
here's the thing, you're looking at this guy here sitting in this chair, and I just sort of been around for a while and visit here, visit there. If you ask me how much money I spend on surveys, I'd say 0. If you ask me, am I looking at all the newest research techniques to find out what people are doing, I don't know anything. I'm telling you straight up front, I know nothing. But this is what I see, okay? And maybe I'm just going wrong places.
Well, let's agree on anything.
So here's plant trends. Again, and I talk to my growing buddies, certainly in perennials. There's no doubt about this, that new plants, and we're going to talk more about new plants fall into and out of favor. What's selling well in some regions simply maybe flat in others. And to be expected, it's a big country. So, what works in, Salt Lake City may not work in Atlanta. But not only be weather, but simply just fall out of favor. Here's some of the things I've seen. Now, please, if you're a euchre and a hosta person, and they're the greatest things ever. I love them. They're all over my garden. But they seem to be somewhat falling out of favor. And I tell you what, as much as I love hostas, if I don't do something about the deer in my garden, I'm not going to have any hostas. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But they seem to be somewhat out of favor. So, sorry. Succulents, hellebores, carrots. Oh, my God. If you're not growing carrots, and natives. I mean, everybody does any work at all for any government agency, be it local or be it federal, is going to have natives. Absolutely going to have.
We visited a botanical garden locally yesterday, and nothing but carrots, right?
Yeah, it was great. Cantini, it was a great garden center, a great garden, I should say. All natives. Salvias. We've been having salvias forever. We've just recently realized how fabulous they are for pollinators. They don't have to be red. The blue stuff is fabulous. Mm-hmm. Even these things that have never sort of got traction, like Epimedium and Baptisia, they're seeing significant increases. Now, maybe I'm going to the wrong places, but I'm seeing this. So some things are going up, some things are going down.
What I like about heuchera is how much they're being mixed in with annuals now, entertainers.
Well, okay, we're going to talk about some trends, some other trends. One of the plant trends for sure is mix and match, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But I got enough time to do this properly. But whilst plant trends are always changing, I think some of the most significant and most rapid changes are in how I see people treating gardening, treating horticulture. I say buying trends, but that's probably not the right trend, right? The right term. But for instance, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but maybe we're no longer a nation of gardeners. We are a nation of decorators. Now, I know you're going to get mad at me because your dad still has has a 10-acre.
I don't think too many people will disagree with you on this.
But the fact
I think we know what you're talking
about. In our industry, we deal with decorators mainly.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean we don't have lots of gardeners. And, I give a talk to, 150, 200, 500 master gardeners, and they're all crazy. And they're gardeners. And that's great. We need more of those. But we have a lot more of those people who are decorators. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. And that allows us to do certain things. It allows us to understand that the garden of tomorrow or today will center around the deck. the balcony, the veranda, the patio. Go to any apartment building in any city and look at the patios out there.
The outdoor room that everybody wants.
There's always stuff out there because people still have to have that feel of the outdoor coming in. And you know, look, the one on the right, that's Chris's garden. And
thank you for snapping that picture. I appreciate it.
But I mean, it's what we do. And the one on the left again, an overview of just a deck. And it also, this whole garden furniture, barbecues, and all those other things, they become more important as garden fixtures so we can enjoy our plants.
I think the mistake that we make as an industry is we separate the plants from all the other stuff. And what people want most in here, say the bottom left photo, it's the furniture, it's the comfortable seating, they want that. And the plants come in kind of last. We always think of plants as first, exactly. But we aren't first. It's like the paint in the room doesn't come before, you know, everything else. You know,
and I don't think, you know, we are in love with plants. That's who we are. And so we say, well, gosh, of course you're going to have plants. Well, they're going to have a few plants. And some people are going to complain they don't sell as many plants today as they sold 10 years ago because we have containers. Let's keep those containers going. But anyway, that's one of the trends. Without it, you got to get mad. Somebody's going to get mad at me out there. I mean, with containers and mixed bowls that we're seeing, and what the breeders are doing for the growers, who are then pushing these down to the consumer, is we have all these mixed containers. They're fantastic, and more power to you for that idea, and more power to the garden center for putting them in front of people. It's who we are today. It really is. Now, again, Chris and I have a bit of a discussion on this, but I feel that new plants, whatever new means, must have a reason for existing. If I can't tell the difference between Petunia A and Petunia B from 10 feet away, I personally, as a gardener, as a landscaper, don't see why I should get that new one. I understand maybe it's got 3 days off on the greenhouse side, or it's more compact for the grower, but they have to have a reason. And for me, the reason that I'm seeing as a trend, okay, there's always going to be pretty plants out there. I just said we're decorators. We want a blue or red. Good. How do I get a pretty plant out there? Let's find it. But the solution is where these plants have to be. So landscapers, designers, gardeners are looking for solutions as well as pretty plants, but not just pretty plants. Let me mention some of these solutions that I see. Remember?
We should put a disclaimer in here.
Everything that's wrong, blame it on Chris. So damn me. But you know, I've been hanging around too long. I don't really, you know. So anyway, these are some of the solution things that I see. Plants that people say I want natives. Bang. Pollinators. I got to have pollinators in my garden. We've always had pollinators, but now we got this whole business of pollinators.
Do you think they know why they want or need natives or pollinators?
No, the reason they need natives is all, and again, I think it take a long time, but with the whole green movement, more green stuff in the garden, natives are got to be good because they're native. I mean, it doesn't mean they are, but they've got to be good because they're native. And then because they're native, they must be pollinators. So now we've managed to, I know this is true. So we have whole pollinator programs out there. And this is, again, a good thing because your neighbor might say, or might have heard, or may have gone to something at a botanical garden and said, pollinators are great, get some plants. And she goes to the garden center or goes somewhere and says, I don't know, deer and rabbit resistant plants. Oh my goodness, we know, Chris, that if a deer are hungry enough, they'll eat everything. So we know that, okay, but let's not go there because, if we're hungry enough, we'll eat anything. But the fact is, deer like some plants better than others. So let's put plants that they're likely not to eat. Then food-scaping, the really cool thing about putting ornamental vegetables into them. I mean, I want a vegetable garden. I want to put vegetables in the garden. I want a rose garden. I hate rose gardens. I love roses. And I love roses in my garden. So the low makers, the dry shade longevity, and I say these first three ones, the ones that are trending right now. I say the natives and pollinators and deer resistant plants. These are opportunities for all of us. Things would change. We are trying. So it would be helpful to the grower and or plants provide these provisions here clearly on availability sheets. So I'm a grower, I work in the garden center, wherever. I know on the availability sheet there is pollinators. Hang on a second, I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to try a little something here. I'm going to mute up.
turn these out on and off a little bit. Let's see. Did that help? Send me a little chat. Major issues. No, it did not help. Lucky. Hang on. Let's see. Now, anything better? The microphone is right there. It hasn't changed. Jennifer's telling me, hi, Jennifer. Oh, a bit better, perhaps. All right, hang on 1 second. Still buzzing. That's not you, is it?
That's probably me.
Give a pacemaker.
Probably all the texts I'm getting from my friends that say this is so bad.
Try that off. Just clicking the mute button on and off a couple of times. That seemed to work before. All right. How about now? Any better? Let's see. Getting better. Good, says Denise.
Wow.
Yeah? We back?
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry about that.
Keep us involved. Okay. Honestly, we're just talking, and it's like if you were in the room with us, it would probably be a whole lot better, but unfortunately...
No, it would not be better.
You'd have to put up with us.
All right, let's keep going here. Because
anyway, okay, so this is pretty self-explanatory, without a doubt. You know, unavailability sheets and garden center benches. I know garden centers don't want to have a bench for everything. But, you know, if you were saying, gee, I want to become the place where people who have deer problems come to my garden center, then get a deer bench. If they come in and say, I need some help with deer, bing, go over there. And those programs are available. So
Dear John, Deer Bench.
Deer Bench, Dear John, no worries.
Fun. All right.
Anyway, and thinking about plants solely to attract decorators, which is fine. It brings in newer consumers where, you know, they have a container outside, they're happy. But to keep them buying that one container and to keep gardeners already with us, I think, and this is me, I believe we must market solutions. And here's just three. I've already mentioned them, but here's just three. Natives. Took forever for the benefits of natives to be appreciated. Now you cannot landscape without them. You really, if you are a designer or you are an installer, you're going to be putting in native plants, even if they look somewhat weedy at times. But let's make it easier for buyers to know what is native, and nativars, cultivars of native plants are still native, guys. So, you know, you can have that native plant enthusiast who is going to tell you they're absolutely full of it if it isn't a true native aster, but there's some better asters.
And do you see breeding happening in
native
nativars?
Breeders have understood this for a while.
That's
absolutely. The breeders are on board.
Do municipalities recognize the difference
I think
when they're speccing what you can and can't plant?
The answer is, I believe that this issue of it has to be a species of native or it's not going to work, it's not nearly as nearly as it used to be. When the native movement, don't forget the native movement was a grassroots movement, and it was all about protecting the environment, about getting more wildlife, et cetera, and it was all the species. It was really making a meadow, quite truthfully.
Now, go back in time 200 years.
Right, exactly. But now we understand that natives are good. They're good pollinators. They're good this. They're good that. Nativars are not a problem anymore. I don't think. But anyway, let's make my daughter and your neighbor know that these are really cool plants and they work. This whole pollinator thing, if you don't have pollinators in your garden, Chris, and somebody comes to visit who is a environmentalist.
It's a lot of not anymore, isn't it?
It's a guilt trip not to include pollinators, but when have we not included pollinators? We've always had pollinators. It's just now, as an industry, we need to label pollinators. We need to tell people that they are. Yeah, we're just telling the story.
If a plant has a bloom, isn't it a pollinator?
It is.
Are there any blooming plants that are not pollinators?
Well,
you know of?
There got to be a few of them, but in general, if there's an insect, a fly, or a bee around, and
or a bat,
yeah. but some obviously are salvias. We've had salvias forever, and they don't have to be red. We know that blue salvias are fabulous pollinators. Calamintha, for goodness sake, for those who grow it, it's a crappy looking plant, but oh my God, there's a zillion pollinators. So let's just give them some ideas. Let's have them feel better when they talk to us. And if you're a grower or a broker, come on, get those stuff in front so that you can help the people to my neighbor. Oh boy, look at that shot.
Was that your garden?
That was my garden. That was my deer decimated hostas.
My wife, the first year we moved in, saw a deer in our backyard. We had no plants. She went out and screamed at it. We haven't had a deer since. That's what it takes.
Listen,
she was waving her arms.
She could be auctioned off to lots of people.
The word got around.
Yeah,
do not come to the Beatty's garden.
But anyway, deer and rabbits, they're the number one topic I'm asked no matter where I speak. I'll get 4 questions for sure, and that'll be the number one all the time.
Really?
Oh, absolutely, deer. And it's a huge problem in this country, and not just If you don't have a lot of deer because you live in town, good for you. But it is very, very, that picture there, your houses are fabulous. You love them. You come out the next morning, and they're gone. So, you can spray, you can do this, that, and the other thing, but it is very frustrating.
Worse than a slug. You can't put out a can of beer.
That's right. I don't want to waste beer on slugs. But anyway, let's tell them what deer don't eat. Let's make it simple, okay? That's my point. And so, I've rolled on here a little bit about stuff.
I've spent the last 24 hours or so with Allan, and I've heard 357 stories.
More than likely.
I think none of them twice either. That's the amazing thing. So he's not repeating himself yet, which shows he hasn't gone all the way around the bend. But we're paying attention, Allan. So, well, but talk a little bit about stories.
Let's talk about stories, and I don't mean that if you tell stories, everybody's going to just love you and stuff like that. But we, as an industry, and we are dealing with a product that just is rolling in stories. Annabelle hydrangea. I mean, where did Annabelle come from? They're just Nellie Stevens, Holly. All these people are real people. There's stories.
A Joe Pye weed.
A Joe Pye weed. There really was a Joe Pye. There was, and it was his plant of choice was the Eupatorium. But anyway, I'm going to tell you a few stories in a minute. Don't worry if you are turned off. I'll try and turn you back on again. But anyway, we have the plants. We just need to tell our stories better. We need to take care of the people in the trenches. And the people in the trenches, again, I go back to your neighbors. I go back to even the landscaper. Anybody who deals with plants will have a bigger smile if they know a little bit more about not just how to be successful. That's a big smile. And a bigger smile is, why is this bachelor's button called bachelor's buttons? What is it going to do with bachelor's? Mm-hmm. So let's make gardening and landscaping less intimidating, and make our garden information not only less intimidating, but more convenient. I believe we have to take us, listen to me, our plant solutions and garden centers, to them, your neighbors, my daughters, your friends. And how do we do that? It sounds like a cool thing. Let's just do it. Well, how do you do it? Well, I think we need to provide them that information in the most convenient way. We rely on labels and plant labels and websites. Those are fine. They're not enough for today's, what I call, phone-obsessed shopper. You can call them high tech, you can call them millenniums, but they're not. They're not the millenniums. They're everybody. We're all on this darn phone. We're all on this thing. Okay?
There's cameras up there.
They're all on this thing. And so why don't we do that too? For smartphone websites, you can. That's why QR codes failed, because they needed a QR scan, went to a website. Who wants to read a website on your phone? And social media, well, it's going to be around. I don't even know anything, half of them, but it's too social.
Yeah, I don't talk about it anymore in the talks, because you don't. You have to be involved with Facebook.
You have to be, and who has that kind of time? I just don't understand it. But nevertheless, they're out there to be sure. Yeah. But our horticultural information is all over the place. You can go to Google and you can find anything you want to find, but it takes a whole bunch of steps and clicks and clacks. We complain about people spending too much time staring at their phones, but that's the way it is. So we might as well accept it. So let's do something about it. If they're going to stare at their phones,
that's why we call it a cell phone.
That's why they call it a cell phone. If they're going to be staring at their phones, let's give them something to stare at. Mm-hmm. This is my point. We talk to each other so well. It's time to talk to them. Yeah. So how about this app thing? And again, I'm going to just spend a few minutes on this, because you don't have to believe a word I say, and you probably don't. But, we use apps. This is my phone, by the way. There's my WhatsApp is on there. My Weather Channel is on there. My Flickster for movies. My maps. I have a half a dozen apps. I'm not crazy, but I use them when I need them. Yeah, and sure. When I don't need them, they're still there. So this is cool. Why don't we have an app? That when people think about gardening or landscaping, they go, pop, and there it is, okay? Good ones can make smartphones and tablets the ultimate marketing machines.
Well, I think we're working in that
direction. We're working there.
As you've illustrated.
Here's the deal with apps, and again, you're going to get real tired of me very soon, because there's a ton of gardening apps out there. I mean, a ton of them, and you go on whatever. And I don't even look at half of them, and this one on the left is a new one, which sounds really cool.
Yeah, no, this one, we'll just, it's called My Garden, Garden Answers. Yeah. We met the fellow who's involved in it yesterday. This one you were impressed with, because you scan the plant or take a picture of it, hold your phone on it, it will identify the flower
And I
or the
say
plant.
more power to anybody who can do that. I've tried. But nevertheless, these are gardening apps for the gardener, okay? But they're not necessarily have anything to do with the industry, okay? I like this plant, therefore.
Yeah.
So my point is, as I see it, and again, don't get too upset with me, I think there's only a handful of apps that truly serve our industry. And it makes sense for us as an industry to support them. And I think there's very few that are, quote unquote, industry-based, third person, not trying to sell magazine subscriptions, not trying to sell you a plant from any breeder, or get your email address.
I mean, I have no app. I'll tell you
no, but this
now.
is okay. Yeah. I know. I try to give Chris an app, and he can't figure it out. Here's a couple I think are relevant. This Grow It app it's a cool thing. It works very well, and the growers like it, and the garden centers like it. And I'm not apologizing anymore for putting mine on. I used to apologize and make all sorts of silly things about it. But the fact is, this is a great app. It happens to have my name on it.
4 years now.
3 years or so. It has my name on it. And so what? It's an industry app. And let me just show you why I think these apps are relevant to us. If I go to the Grow It app, there's some screenshots. I think it's a good app, and there's some cool things on there. And take a look at it if you wish. But it's an app industry-based with industry people on the plants we grow. Here's the shots from my app. And again, I'm not apologizing anymore because I think this is just a good thing for us as an industry. So if you go to the menu and you want to look at plants, you can go from anything from annuals to houseplants, cut flowers, drought-tolerant plants, etc. if you get this app. And it's not only for a gardener, it's for the designer, for the retailer, the garden center people just love this thing. And it's for anybody who touches plants. So I'm not going to go through it all. It would take too long. But the fact is, there's a few other things. Here's the solutions. So all those plants you can look at. Here's plants that deer don't eat. Here's thoughts on pollinators. It's right there. You know, you can also go to garden centers. Like any garden center listening, you can be listed free of charge on this thing, absolutely free of charge. You get your website, and if I can go up to the, let me just see if this works. Can I just? You see the arrow? Okay. Well, anyway, you can see the telephone for the contact. You can see the website, and at the right hand, upper right, second from the right is Google Maps. So it takes you there.
Well, and that's the nice connection between just gardening and our industry, where we're helping a garden center sell more stuff.
And again, I just can't, I'm having a ball. The app's doing fine. If nobody gets it, it's okay. Life goes on. But the fact is, it is something that it's an industry base, i.e. I know a little bit about the industry. It's based on the plants we grow. I tell people about what plants that I think are good, and they can go right to the garden.
And we know the information is good.
And the information at least not bad. And anyway, it costs all of $4.99. If you can't afford it, let me know. We'll fix you up. And you can go to an app store or Google Play and get it. But again, if you're a garden center, free of charge. And by the way, for what it's worth, Chris, 97% of apps, 98 maybe, are free. So 98% of apps are free, and I'm charging money, and it's still doing fine. But I don't have.
That makes it more of a challenge.
Yeah, I haven't quite figured out this business model where you put all this time in. Good for them. So why do I think we should support these industry-based apps? Just read. They provide anybody who touches our plants with useful, good information. They don't cost much, $4.99, and most of them are. They grow. It's free.
You want to say how much you spent on developing it?
No, I don't want to spend. Even this hair, it wasn't silver before.
Somebody spends some money, but we get to reap the benefits when they do. So I think that's why it's important.
And again, I'm fortunate. This is what I want to do, and I want to be able to share this stuff. But anyway, they provide convenient, inexpensive access to our best plants from our best companies, and they provide all those solution things as well. And I say I know I've talked about 2 apps. I'm sure there's thousands of them out there, but those are 2 that I think are important.
All right. We only got about 5 minutes left.
Best of all, we're in our pockets, purses, whenever we're there, okay? And bingo, bango, bingo. There you go. And they don't. And as an industry, they're not costing the industry. We don't have to put $1,000 in to be part of this. Just share it with your staff. Share it with the people who work with plants. And what's not to support?
Take advantage of it.
Put it on your website. If you have any questions, just talk to me. Okay, there's more apps, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Oh, by the way, some of the most important things, we're always going to have fun. We got to have fun. And that's Janet Draper, I think, over there with me, although you can't recognize her. And good old Terry Smith. If you met Terry, he's
Smith Gardens.
Smith Gardens. He's
salt of the earth.
Salt of the earth. Batty is a bat in the belfry, but he is fabulous. I'll talk to Terry.
Are you listening to Terry? I hope so. Hey.
So on his hand,
what is that?
On his hand, he says, Alan, he says, look at it, it says MAD. And he said, Allan, make a difference. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. so we all need to try.
Doesn't mean he's mad.
Oh, no, he's a great guy.
Yeah, all right.
All right, we have time or not?
I did. Yes, we do. We're gonna bang through because I know there's some folks saying, "What about some plants, Allan?"
I know.
So share a few.
Just a few.
Of your current.
I think I have 4 or 5 on here, not many. Okay, and these are ones that have caught my eye now. You can say there's also some fabulous plants out there. There's armiria and begonias and lupins and oh my gosh, the peppers. I saw all these at plant trials in California, but there's some fabulous plants. The hellebores, I think, are just exploding.
They've got so much color.
They got color. They've got foliage. They got deer resistance. There's pink frost, which is one of the very first one of the gold series. And then what I think this Frostkis series is unbelievable. Variegated foliage, beautiful flowers.
That's the Dutch breeding, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just, I'm showing you Penny's pink, and there's Molly's white, and there's a bunch of others. These are exciting. These are really exciting. Coreopsis, boy, oh boy, Coreopsis has sort of been hanging around out there and done a few things. There's some terrific Coreopsis that I feel are really worth growing. Whether it's this little bang, here's that big bang, and here's little bang. It's just easier for us to do and easier for the landscaper to use. But the one I'm really excited about, and this has nothing to do with being here, is this Uptick series. It's from Darwin. There's gold and bronze. Wherever I've seen this, it looks fabulous.
Yeah, what is it you like about it?
It's just, it persists. Coreopsis, to me, are like here and gone tomorrow. This flowers for a long time. The colors are beautiful. It still is, I won't say compact, but it's big enough. It's a plant, and it just keeps flowering.
Sturdy and solid.
You don't have to deadhead it. You don't have to do anything. And there's another one. I just think this Uptick series, for me, that's where I recommend. And I'm always asked to recommend plants, and sometimes I put in the right ones, and sometimes I don't. Echinacea. I've had some echinacea issues, and I'm trying to be very, very nice here, but some of our echinaceas... You promised he toned down his critique of echinacea. We have fabulous echinaceas, and breeding an echinacea is nothing short of incredible. However, by breeding all these incredible fancy colors, we've had to include different species, not just purpurea. And the fancy forms have not come back terribly well in many parts of the country. I don't mean to get upset with them, but I am. So, you know, but properly chosen, boy, they are fabulous. And I love what's coming out now. And I think that the breeders and the growers and the brokers are learning their lesson. Let's find plants that really work well. This Powwow series, spectacular. Yeah. I mean, it's just a great series. I mean, what can I tell you? The Sombrero series, another cool series with different colors, and they're not. But most of the great things for me are reds, whites, pinks, and that group of colors. You know, start getting into the mangoes and all, it becomes a bit of an issue for me. But this is a great group of plants. But the echinacea that I think, and I've been talking about this for years, is Cheyenne Spirit, and that's just working for everybody. And now I believe the breeders are trying to segregate the colors out so you actually know what color you're getting.
I like getting recommendations from people who've grown it in the landscape.
This one,
landscape like down in Athens.
We grew this in Athens before it was called Cheyenne Spirit, and it was fabulous then, and it's just continued to be good. So, they're just a good plant. The native grasses, there's a ton of them. We saw a lot of native grasses yesterday. I think the panicums are for anybody who does native grasses. I like this Apache Rose. I love Cape Breeze. I think this is a great plant. I think all of these are really cool plants. So the panicums, if you're going to do grasses, you can't do miscanthus anymore because that's getting onto the invasive plant list. Yeah. So, you know, we got our native panicum. But anyway, there's just one more plant that sort of I call calming and simple. Heliopsis. Who does Heliopsis anymore? Well, there's some fabulous.
Have you got some of this in your garden?
I do.
Good.
Absolutely. This is all from my garden.
If it's calming and
But anyway, this is Sunstruck. I don't really much like variegated Heliopsis. They've been kind of cruddy, if you really want to know, in the past. Around the country. They work in some places, but not very many. But this one seems to be working very, very well. This one called Sunstruck, and I saw it yesterday too. It looked very good here. And again, I love this Tuscan Sun just because it stays short and it flowers a long period of time. So these are just a few of the plants that I see have caught my eye. We'll come back, Chris, and we'll do a whole perennial thing or an annual thing, but these are a few of them.
Yeah, all right, we'll do that for the plant people.
Yeah, for the plant people.
Now, you graciously sent me an autographed copy of this book, and I read it, and it was fascinating. What made you want to write a book about the stories behind the names of plants? Because there's a few of those already out there. In fact, you had already done a book about the people behind the plants. So what made you want to write this newest book of yours?
So without boring you to death, the fact is that we have so, and again, I take this, I love telling stories. I love knowing about why a Baxter's button is called a Baxter's button, why is a dogwood called a dog, but it's nothing to do with dogs. And I think and I say as an industry, I hate using that term, but as people in this industry, the more we know about our plant, particularly that brings smiles to your face, the more we take those smiles and give them to other people. Because as soon as I tell you a story, you're going to tell it to somebody else, and they're going to tell it to somebody else. And so when I say naked ladies and forget-me-nots, it's the stories of our common names. Where do they come from? Who was kissing over the garden gate? What's bouncing bet got to do with anything? But they're cool. So I think you'll find that, I mentioned, tell me the facts I forget. Tell me the story I remember. A dogwood has nothing to do with dogs. Nothing.
But you got to read the book to find out.
But you got to read the book, yeah, because we don't have time. And there really was somebody called Joe Pye. There really was. Carrots. It's a great story. I'm not going to tell it, but if you talk about carrots, read the book. It has nothing to do with helping you see better. Anyway,
it's a fascinating story.
It is, but at the bottom it says these stories will make you a better grower or a breeder, but they make others smile. And why don't we do that?
I'd like to see you get a copy. If you're a garden center owner, get a copy for everybody out in your garden center who's taking care of customers, so they can share a few of those stories with people who are looking at the plants.
They make our plants come alive.
Yeah. No,
anyway, and again, it's a book I wrote. I'm not apologizing again, but it's I think something that
you should. It's a good book. It's
a
fun, easy read.
It wasn't written because I thought the industry needed it. It was written because I wanted to do it. But I really believe it, and it is doing very well, I may add. So thank you everybody who has done this. And it's easy to get. So if you go to my website, which is just allanarmitage.net, little thing on books, and if you
hook me up. If you type in Growertalks into the little promo code box, you know how to do that.
Yeah.
You'll get an extra 10% off, not only this brand new book, but any and all Armitage books. And there's some good ones out there.
And I just did the same thing with the Darwin people. So if you happen to forget Growertalks, you can write Darwin in there. It works just as well.
Limited time only.
Limited time only.
July 31st, so somebody's watching this video 10 years from now. They're in the archive.
They're in trouble. But by the way, if you do this, and if you're interested, just give me an hour to put that in, will you? But it is cool.
Now I want to... I have a special announcement for everybody. Allan Armitage and his wife, right?
Yes.
Are our newest American citizens.
We are.
As of how long ago?
As of 3 weeks ago or so. Not very long ago.
And those two are going, weren't you always an American citizen? Weren't you a Southerner?
Yeah.
But no, you're a Canadian, for Pete's sake.
I'm a Canuck gone bad. But, we love it here, and we decided it was time.
And here's an actual photo from the ceremony. And we won't take much time, but Allan announced this to the group yesterday at lunch, and said it was just it was a very touching experience for you and the other 160 some odd people who went through it all with you.
And the only thing I told people yesterday is don't believe a word you read in the newspapers. We are the most welcoming country in the world.
And he says we, because it's not you anymore.
We are the most welcoming country in the world. And I can't tell you how many people were crying their eyes out at this ceremony because look at that. And we were pretty proud.
Welcome to America, my friend. And he also confessed that after seeing what's going on in politics, he thought, hey, the only way I can help straighten it out is by voting, right?
That's right. You can't vote, you can't complain. So there you go.
Anyway, well, that said, let me take care of that. But we've got some nice congratulations. Lots of comments on the sound. Sorry about that, but I'm glad we were able to fix that. I'm looking for questions now, but really
I confused the heck out of everybody, Chris.
Too many. I think there was, where did we see? Oops, wrong one. Hang on a second.
A lot of issues with sound.
General, we asked Allan how to explain a garden center can register to have its name on your app.
I talk about this marketing, and I'm so terrible at it. So if any garden center who is here wants to get the app, first of all, get the app. It's $4.99, and you can see who's in your neighborhood because only garden centers that talk to me or vice versa get on this app. I just go check out your garden center. My email, it's my email. We didn't write it up there, Chris, but it's,
it is
I think
right there.
There it is. There's my email,
Jot
amarmitage123@gmail.com. If you just write me, I'll send you what you need. It'll take you no more than 15 minutes, and I will have it on within 24 hours. So, yeah, thank you for reminding me to do that. And again, I think Garden Centers gives something to say, is something to tell your people about. And what I get out of this is you promote the Garden Center, you promote the app. But why wouldn't you? You're on it. And it's a cool thing. So, yes, I hope you will.
All right. So nice congratulations from Ann Whaley, our Dan out there, and from Virginia. So that's really nice. Mark, here's your last question.
Okay.
And Mark lives in gardens or grows plants in North Florida. You got any experience with sand?
Oh, yeah, sure. Grogazania.
and hot, dry conditions?
Well, the problem, again, it's not a problem. This country's big, and there's, if I can go from zone 3 to zone 8, it's really, I'm talking about the same stuff. I mean, in general. When I go to zone 2, it's so cold for there. A few things can do it. If I go to Florida, Southern California, the coast of Mississippi or Alabama, they're tough. And certainly the dry, and it's usually sandy soils, make things much more difficult. But there's a lot of things, again, on that app and other things that when we come back, we can talk about some other time, that work down there. But, you're not going to grow a great echinacea in southern Florida. You're just not going to do it. It's just too hot. Right. So it's all about why the garden center has to be the filter.
Right. Ron wants to know your favorite apple. I don't know if that means for
I know it is.
Do you know who that is? It must be an inside joke.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry, Ron. I will continue eating my apple crisp, apple turnovers, and when I see you, I expect to be fed.
All right. There you go. Sounds like another webinar. But I tell you what, this has been tremendous fun. If you want to watch it again, if you want to relive this adventure or share it with anybody who didn't get to do it, we're going to have it archived as soon as I can do it, probably this afternoon, at the same place you signed up, ballpublishing.com webinars. I've got a few upcoming webinars. They're not going to be live video webinars like this one. I don't know if we do a fire ant webinar.
I'm staying away, huh?
Especially if it brings in some samples. But my buddy Fudd is going to be doing that one with us. And we've got 2 parts. Me and Ellen doing 2 parts on new plants from spring trials.
Cool.
Coming up in July. And then we've got it's not out on the registration page yet, but it will be soon. Another one on LEDs. So look for those. Sign up. And again, I think I got the archive in there twice, so you won't miss out. That's because I'm going backwards. That's why. Okay, and there we go. I knew we had one last shout out to Ball Seed, our gracious sponsor for the webinar, who made this all possible.
And my shout outs to all the people who have been listening. Thank you, particularly Polly. Thank you so much for all the help, and I think it's just been great. And I hope we can do this again. By the way, if you are going to order a book or anything, give me an hour or two to make sure that everything is copacetic. But you can certainly do that.
Yeah, and let us know how you like this, the video portion. Was it distracting to see us talking like this, and you just want the slides and the facts, or was it okay and made it a little more interesting? Shoot me an email, beatties@growertalks.com, and let me know. So that said, Alan, that was Armitage Unchained, and yet you were pretty restrained.
That was good. I got rid of the rocking chair so I could stay still, and things are good.
So that said, so on behalf of Alan and all my staff here at Ball Publishing, I want to say so long, everybody.
Thank you.
We should have brought our guitars.